This is what I'm learning about blindness. Okay, so I could get free stuff, possibly. Right? People are going to grab my cane. People are going to randomly yell at me.
Welcome to this Ability Clinic, where we treat ableism with accessibility. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Van, a pain and function specialist. I'm a young Vietnamese female with my black hair up in a bun, wearing a gray blazer and a blue blouse against a boring white background. My guest tonight is a strong voice in the disability advocacy movement and the host of the Reid My Mind Radio podcast. Please welcome Mr. Thomas Reid.
Hi, people. So, my name is Thomas Reid. I am a brown-skinned black man with a pretty decently smooth bald head today, a full beard. I'm wearing dark shades and a black hoodie, and I'm in my studio here in my home in the Poconos, which is in northeast Pennsylvania, 90 miles from the place I always call home, and that's the Bronx, New York. I'm also the host and producer of Reid My Mind Radio, which is the podcast featuring compelling people impacted by all degrees of blindness and disability. There you go.
Oh, you're such a natural. I need to get on your level one day.
Oh, please, please.
You've been out there for a while advocating. How is it interacting with a lot of different kinds of people on social media and like making new connections like that?
Wow. I actually love that. And it's a thing that I think is very different about me now than in my prior life. When I was sighted and working in that corporate environment and traveling back and forth, like most New Yorkers, I didn't really have many words for people on the street, right? Like people I don't know. It's just you look at somebody, whatever. And occasionally, you meet someone and you're just kind of sitting there on a train or on a bus or whatever the case may be, and maybe you strike up a conversation. And sometimes it's really cool, it could be, and sometimes it's like, just shut up. I'm trying to do my thing, And I mean, that was my reality for real.
Sure.
And like now, meeting people, whether it be through my podcast, whether it just be kind of like, reaching out to someone or someone reaching out to me, I love that. I just love to hear people's stories. But just the connections and just learning something new from someone else's experience or whatever their expertise is, that's something I really enjoy that.
It sounded like your interest really peaked when you had a big change in your life and you created this platform, this podcast to connect with other people in the same situation, would you say?
Yeah. And even prior to the podcast, I mean, just from my change in becoming disabled, my acceptance of that, and just kind of moving on and becoming involved in the advocacy world with the Pennsylvania Council of the Blind, there was some skepticism on my part, because you can't trust everybody. And not that I trust everybody today.
Sure.
I definitely don't. But I'm also like, what are you going to do to me? I mean, there's a lot of things about trust when we start talking about blindness, right? So the idea that I have to trust my skills, I have to trust the information that someone gives to me, Yeah. And so maybe there's more to that than I actually even thought about.
When everyone's in their comfort zone and at their baseline and their world hasn't been challenged, it's easy to not be trustful of other people. It's easy to not feel like you need to reach out and like seek out different perspectives or rely on other people for things.
Mm-hmm.
But then once your worldview or your status quo is, turned upside down for whatever reason, suddenly you have this whole new appreciation for things. And that doesn't happen in New York only, that happens everywhere. Yeah. Speaking of kind of interactions with people who are strangers in public, when you're apparently blind, I've seen a lot of stories on social media from other blind content creators about how obnoxious or intrusive people can be, as well-meaning as they are. Like, people will come up to people who look blind or who are using a white cane and like grab stuff out of their hand or like grab their arm and lead them places. And I was just kind of wondering if that's been part of your experience and like what your feelings are about that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's probably very similar to other people talking about it, but people do really weird things. I remember when I was first learning how to use my white cane, part of that process is they take you to whatever your nearest city sort of environment would be, making sure you can, you're properly crossing streets where there's lots of activity, as opposed to if you live in a more suburban or rural area. So I'm walking, I had my assignment, and then you have to go do these various tasks, and the instructor may be near you, but you're doing this all on your own. It probably, the whole task took me about 20 minutes, let's say. But there was so many different encounters just in that 120 minutes that I was like, wow, this is a big difference. So it was like from someone grabbing my cane to lead me across the street by holding my cane, number one. Okay, so it's like, hey, hey, so that's startling when someone just grabs your cane, right?
Huh.
Um, and then to where I'm waiting, because I have my procedure, my way of crossing the street, and I'm waiting there, and so someone just randomly feels the need, like across the street, hey buddy, go ahead, it's safe to go. Like, I don't know you. I don't. Why would I trust you? Like, you're not supposed to trust that. So it was just weird to being given free stuff. One of the things I went to, it was to go like buy a dozen bagels or something like that, and then the guy, for whatever, he's like, hey buddy, I put a couple more in there for you. I was like,
You're like, what did you
okay.
do to those bagels?
Yeah, but it's like, oh, okay, great. So this is this is what I'm learning about blindness. Okay, so I could get free stuff possibly. Right? People are gonna grab my cane. People are gonna randomly yell at me.
Right,
Um,
it comes with a
to
price.
one to one point where I walked into a store, and again, I'm walking into a store, so I don't know. I wasn't familiar with this place, and I think I was going to where I heard the cashier, and so someone online just assumes that I'm cutting the line. And he started to yell at me. Ooh. And that's, I'm not the right person to do that to. And
Ooh.
and he just started yelling at me. And I'm like, I was, at first I was like, who's he talking to? Because all I want to do is ask the cashier, where do I find XYZ?
Sure, yeah.
And man, this guy went off on me. And what was interesting about that is just some of the other people online, kind of stepped in and was like, hey buddy, like chill,
Yeah,
and
something bad happened to him that day or something. It was not you.
possibly, yeah, yeah. So it was, all of those things happened in that 120 minutes,
Wow.
and that was a really new experience to me. But yeah, over the years, lots of stuff. People just grabbing you. I'm always fearful because I have a reaction because I study martial arts, and so if you grab my arm, I'm gonna lock you up.
Oh my
And it
God.
happened one time. I locked somebody up real quick, and it was just like I have to chill
Right, but they
because
also have to chill too. It's like
yeah,
not your fault that that was
yeah,
you defending yourself because
absolutely.
people
It's just
consider
a
that
reaction.
assault.
Yeah.
I'm glad we
it,
can laugh about it now, but that must have been really like scary.
yeah, it is. I feel okay when I go out there. I'm not a big guy or anything like that, but my face kind of tells you things about me. I have a what they call a standing B face.
I wouldn't say that, but sure, if other
Yeah,
people have said that, you
because
can say
I'm
that.
smiling. But yeah, other people definitely say all my life I have and maybe it looks less like that because of my shades, but I feel more for a lot of the women
Mm.
that I've talked to over the years and the things that they have to go to because that's real harassment. So I get it, but I don't get it like they get it.
Yeah, and you're kind of speaking to like the diversity of experiences. Like even though, you and another person might be blind, there's so many other parts of your lives and your experiences that make the way you move in the world different
Yeah.
and the way the
Yeah.
world treats you.
Absolutely. The blindness for me, I think, is really, really different. And I think about it a lot when I hear about interactions with the police. I know there was a blind man who he was black and he was older too. And so that's what kind of was shocking to me because my experience as a older, I'm not old, so, but
You're mature. You're
yeah, yeah, I'm
a mature
mature.
gentleman.
When I'm in the city, police have been sort of, they see the cane first. They see the
Hmm.
blindness first. And so I'm not a threat. I was not taken as a threat because they saw all of that. I think in this particular situation, they saw his blackness before they saw his blindness. And again, none of this is right?
Yeah.
But this is just talking about the experience. And so where people with other disabilities, they may be automatically seen as a threat because like someone who's deaf might not hear a cop asking you to stop or telling you to stop, right? And
Yeah.
so they keep going.
Yeah.
Where if they see my cane, they say, oh, it's a whole different way of looking at it. And so that to me has been the difference where people, even outside of police, just genuinely don't see me as a threat. Where walking the streets before, there was assumptions that may have been made about me, or whatever. Like the whole vibe of walking a street and being in public is totally different as a black man with that white cane.
Hmm.
My experience. That's my experience.
I mean, what you're saying is really powerful because there's been so much over the last 2-3 years about, you know, prejudice and, you know, false assumptions and police brutality and how authorities interact with especially marginalized populations. And so I think there's so much in what you're saying, that I'm just really appreciative that you're sharing this perspective.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Not
There really
prepared to
is.
unpack that right now,
Yeah,
but
I mean, yeah, because you can unpack it, I think, in every aspect of life.
And we will definitely continue to unpack these issues in our next video. If you appreciate Thomas sharing his perspective, hit the like button.
Hit the like if you know what's good for your life. There you go.
And check out Reid My Mind Radio, linked in the description. If you want to tune into the rest of our awesome conversation, subscribe to This Ability Clinic and hit the bell icon to get notified when our next video drops. Until next time, thank you for watching, listening, and learning.
welcome to This Ability Clinic, where we treat ableism with a Joining me today is, I'm sorry.
Thomas.
What's your name? I've got so much good stuff. I cannot wait to go through this footage and like put all the brilliant stuff you said together.
No, that's cool. I enjoyed this. This was really nice.